Before we talk about real estate, we want to start with real life because that's where everything actually begins. We're moms, wives, friends, business owners, and women navigating busy seasons just like everyone else. And this first half is exactly that. It's a catch up, a check in, and a chance to get to know us as people before professionals. Before we talk about real estate, we want to talk about real life. My name is Ashley.
I'm Avery.
I'm Riley. I'm Amanda.
And we are the 417 Homegirls. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the 417 Homegirls podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Avery.
And today we're doing a really fun one. We're going to talk about realtor versus reality, like what people think we do all day versus what actually happens behind the scenes. So this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot that people think actually goes on that does not happen, or, we do a lot more than what people believe.
Yes. It's not just, pretty houses and flexible schedules like everyone thinks it is. But before we jump in we're going to do a quick little life update because mom life has been lifing lately. So
yeah,
what's been going on in your world, Miss Avery?
Oh, there's been a lot going on in my world. Yesterday was a little chaotic. Today's only Tuesday, so luckily there hasn't been that much since it's just the beginning of the week. But yesterday I had a closing and it just did not go as planned. Like usually we walk off, from the closing table with keys in hand to my buyers, and it just didn't go like that. And it was a little nerve-wracking for a little bit, but we had a good closer and obviously a great lender with us, and they were able to get things figured out a few hours after closing. So my buyers were able to go into their house last night, and start moving stuff over, but it was kind of stressful. I didn't know how to go about doing all of the different loan types. And there was just so many different things that went into it, and a paper that needed to be signed that couldn't be signed by these people. It was just kind of a mess. So that was a little chaotic for the beginning of the week. But if that's the most chaotic thing that happens this week, then I'll take it. So what about you? What's been going on? How's life been?
Life is good. We were having storms and things, and and in real estate, it's, we'll talk about sometimes like ups and downs. And so I had a ton of, go under contract in March. And so we're all closing right now. I have one that the buyers, my sellers are just gracious and just keep extending closing to help the buyers, because I guess they paid off some part of their loan and it ended up messing their credit score up. It tanked it. And so now they thought they were doing the right thing and then they weren't. And then they tanked their score. And then, so now we're trying to get their reserves back in their bank so that we can close. So just a lot of moving pieces. And then, just a lot. There's a lot that goes on. But so all those are closing. We're getting all those closed from March, which is good. We're finishing those up, and then got a couple listings coming up, which is nice. But it's busy season. That's what I always tell my husband. Like, this is the bulk of the bulk of our real estate right here. So
take a deep breath.
Buckle up. Yeah. For mom life though, it's good. Liam, he had his school performance and he was so anxious to do that. Which is weird because when he was in pre-K, they had performances and he was fine. But the morning of and the night, he's like, he's embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. Now he's all about him being embarrassed. Everyone's going to be staring at me. I'm like, dude, there's like 45, 50 kids up there. They're not all going to be staring at you. So anyway, and then when I picked him up that day, I was a little worried because I was going to have to entice him with ice cream or something. But he was like, no, I'm ready. I'm good. We practiced. I'm ready. I'm like, okay. And they've been practicing for weeks. So I don't know where this came from, but he was fine. He did great. He smiled the whole time. He sang all the songs, did all the things.
Oh, good. That's so cute though to have his first, first kindergarten, actual.
Yeah. But he had it in pre-K at his pre-K, but first kindergarten. Yeah. They were all so cute. And the little actions they were doing. And
little hand movements and stuff that do nothing for the performance, but just to keep them busy.
Yeah, it was cute. It was cute. So he's been good. We've been having storms, so sleep has been up and down. But last night he slept all through the night, so that was exciting.
Good.
When I can get some sleep, it's good. So other than that, things are good.
Barrett sleeps pretty good for the most part, but my friend, her daughter has chronic ear infections, and she hasn't gotten, she's almost 2 years old. She hasn't gotten any sleep since the day she was born. And so anytime we talk about it, anytime we talk about sleep, I'm like, listen, I know I have it really good. Please know that I have it good. And I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Liam was always a pretty good sleeper, when he was a little baby, but 5, 6. I don't know what it is.
Weird.
And I'm like, is it still like sleep cycles? Do they still have that at this age? I mean, but I looked it up and they do.
Yeah.
I mean, in their growth spurts, like they have, that's kind of their sleep cycles, like their growth spurt. And he has growing pains at 5 years old. I mean, he's always like, oh, I think I'm having growing pains. I'm like, I shouldn't have taught you that because not everything's a growing pain. But no, but that's, yeah. So sleep, I always say, like, when people used to tell me when you have your kids, like, you'll never sleep again.
Yeah. You'll never
Even
sleep
when they're
the
16.
same.
Like you won't sleep while they're out driving.
No.
No. So yeah.
Cody's parents warned me about that.
Okay, so we're going to dive on into the realtor side of the podcast today. So like realtor versus reality. So we're going to start with this first one. So I always hear this a lot. Well, okay, I don't hear it a lot, but I hear other people kind of mock it a little bit, that realtors just unlock doors and show houses. And I think most people know that that's not really what we do, especially if they've had a realtor in their lifetime, whether buying or selling, they know that that's not just what we do. In reality, so we'll start at the beginning. When someone calls and they're like, hey, I want to see a house. We'll start with the buyer side. I want to see a house. We have to, and sometimes I'm like, okay, send me the houses you want to see up until, like, let's say we're going on a weekend. Then I'll say, okay, I'm not going to send you the schedule until right before, because I want to make sure that I've got it all mapped out, because I don't want to go from one end of the town to the other end and back. And, so we have to map it out. Then we have to get with each agent and schedule those and make sure that, we can do that. And we can't move on to the next one until the first one's confirmed, unless they're vacant, of course. But so we have to really work.
When it says vacant, go show, I'm
I
like,
know.
thank goodness.
Me too. I'm like, yes. And I always do a courtesy text to the agent, like, hey, we're going to go see XYZ. Communication is huge in our industry. So also, if you're out there and you're just listening, this is a really good podcast too for people who might be getting into real estate. Like, what does it take to be a real estate agent? I think this will be a good episode to listen to as well. So anyway, side note. So coming back to that, so then we show, and then we've got feedback. We're taking notes mentally or on paper what the clients are feeling about the houses, and we have to give feedback to the agents, because it's important to do that. Agents, please provide feedback, just because it's so important for our sellers. They're anxiously waiting. How did the showing go? What happened? And if I say, oh, I don't know, the agent didn't get back to me, and it's like, what? Like, I prepped, I left the house, and then now I don't know, So it's really important to get that feedback to those agents in a timely manner, because the sellers are patiently waiting. We have the safety on top of that too, because if you're going to show somebody you don't know, which I am tonight, I'm a little nervous about it. I haven't shown somebody that I've not met or been referred to in a very long time, so I'm really anxious about it. I'm trying to get my husband to go with me, so
just sit in the car.
I'm like really nervous about it. I
feel
haven't
like
done it in a long time.
That's all I do.
I know.
So it's not. I just try to show
all the time. But.
I just like to show in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
I do not like to show when the sun goes down. Like I would just rather be out in the open and everybody can see and hear and is home. I mean, more people are probably home at night, but I definitely understand the anxiety that goes into that.
I mean, so we have that anxiousness to think about, and like researching the client, do they have any, we have to do our due diligence to make sure that we're going into a safe situation. Then we research comps. Buyers are like, oh yeah, I like that. And they're asking you all kinds of questions about the houses that you just scheduled for, and sometimes I'm like, if there's one you really like, then I will do a deep dive. Then I'll figure out, the comps on this house. And, as a buyer's agent, and you do heavily on buyers, you would probably, you've seen a lot of the houses, so you can kind of give them a rough estimate if this is a good price. Sometimes you can walk in and be like, oh no, I think this is way too high, or yeah, I think this is going to go really quick. I think we kind of know that intuition. But then going back and researching comps if they want to make an offer. I mean, then we have to do our homework on our side of things, because our job is to work for our client, and that's what we're doing. We're not just like, yeah, give us a number. Let's shoot it out there.
Yeah.
Let's send it to them.
Let's hope it works.
Yeah. We have to read the disclosures. We know what to look for specifically on the disclosures. If something's not filled out, we know we're communicating with the agent while I'm at the house, and they're asking me these questions like, what's that? I wonder what that's for. I am like snapping pictures all over, sending it to the listing agent, because, I want to make sure that my clients are, while we're there, and they're getting the answers. So there's a lot that goes into just even showing houses?
I think there's a lot more that goes. If you're showing one house, it's a lot easier. If you're showing one house one day to one buyer, it's a lot easier. But if you have a buyer that's especially out of town, like I had out of town buyers that needed to go and look at 3 or 4 houses in one day, you're scheduling all of those houses. If you have 4 houses, they're like, we want to start at 9:30. Okay, well then I have to map how far away the first house is from the second house. I have to map, second to third, third to fourth, and then I have to get in contact with each agent or schedule it online, whichever they prefer, and go in and do all of that. And I also have to pull up the disclosures for everything. And on top of that, it sounds, trivial and silly, but you have to go through and look at the pictures because 9 times out of 10, I'll walk into a house and my buyers will say something along the lines of, I was wondering how this layout works. When you saw the pictures, did you notice? And I'm thinking, I just saw 500 pictures, 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
So let me look back on my phone really quick. But it always helps to have those disclosures pulled up. And it kind of stinks when a house doesn't have a disclosure filled out, which I totally understand why they don't. And a lot of them don't. But when they're wondering how old the roof is and you just have to, I'm not sure,
Do the eyeball check.
Yeah.
Just look at
this
it.
shingle looks a little damaged or, it looks not in bad condition, whatever. We can get an expert out here. If we go into contract, we'll have an inspector come out here, but there's just a lot of coordination that happens behind the scenes, especially when there's multiple showings and you have to keep all of them organized in your brain. And that takes up so much brain power and energy that I didn't realize before I became a realtor. So
a lot of organization. And then on top of that, we have to figure out date childcare, go to our husbands.
Goodness, yeah.
Hey,
our own lives.
Our own lives. We have to schedule that in. So, and then when they cancel last minute, it's just like, oh my gosh, so there's just, or, hey, can we add this one? Or, hey, I don't think people realize when they're, showing houses and they're like, oh, can we add this one in real quick? Or can we do this? It's like, whoa. Cause that throws us off because we have mapped it down to a T on where we're going. So, we make it work. We'll just probably fit it in at the end. But, so there's a lot more and that's just scheduling showings. That's just the first part. And we haven't even dug into them making an offer and coordinating that and figuring out what's the best strategy to go into there and working with our clients.
And the timeline of making an offer.
Yeah.
If the listing agent says, hey, I've got 3 other offers in and they're due by 5 p.m. and it's 3 p.m. and you need to write up your offer in the next 2 hours and you're also coordinating with your buyer and potentially your buyer's lender most of the time, that's a lot of stress and you have to get it done. And figuring out numbers and stuff is the hard part, but also you have to fill out forms and those don't take 3 minutes to fill out. You don't just want to slap numbers in there and go on about your way because then you could miss extremely vital things for your clients. And that is definitely not something I realized that, how important it is. Like the deadlines that you are not in control of at all.
Yeah. And then we have to go home and I think sometimes people are like, okay, so did we make an offer? And I'm like, bro, you haven't even filled out the form yet. We have to sign an actual.
Did you sign anything? No,
we have
not yet.
to sign an actual contract. I think I've had just like one person say that before, and I'm like, no. Like we go through and we have to fill out a whole form, a whole contract. So taking the time to drop the boxes and type in the people's names and the email addresses, and it's a lot. And then going over it with your client, and making sure they understand the key points and what they're signing. That's huge. And I don't think a lot of people. I don't know if it's a lot, but I don't know if a lot of realtors do that where they go over, because sometimes people say, I didn't even know what I was signing, and same when they're at closing, they're like, what am I signing?
That's crazy
explain to me what I'm signing. So I think it's important for us as real estate agents to really understand the contract. That's like our first job, is to really understand what the contract is saying. Cause there's a lot of words on there that if I wasn't in real estate, I'd have no idea what it means. So really explaining it to the client and what it means. And there's some sections in there that don't relate, like whether it's financing, if they're cash and they're using a conventional loan or FHA loan and it doesn't pertain to them. But I go through everything that pertains to my client and I'm asking them the questions and we're digging deep on that. So there's a lot that goes into just that. So if you're looking to get your real estate license, you need to, that's the first thing I would do. You learn it in school a little bit, but not really.
You're really only learning what you need to know to pass the test.
Yeah.
And that's what my teacher at the school here told everybody, because that's her job. She doesn't, she's not here to be your mentor or, be your team lead or, that's what you join a brokerage for. And, join mentor programs or, sign up for online classes to learn more. And She's just there to teach you the test.
Yeah.
So when I walked out of that school, I'm like, wow, I know a lot. And then I started doing this and I was like, I know nothing. I know what these forms are called and I know when you need to use them, but I don't really, we went over them, but you're not in a real life scenario and you don't know what you don't know until you have to use it. So
that's why it's important if you're getting into real estate to start the buyer side first, is my personal opinion, because then you can really know the contract. So that way, when you get listings and you're getting those buyer contracts, you know what to look for. You know what makes a strong offer.
Yeah.
You know what that's looking like to best serve your seller. So I think that's the best place to start when you're getting into real estate is, really dig deep into the buyer contract, and then you can.
I was just telling Riley like a few weeks ago, because she said she started with a listing when she first started doing real estate. I told her I could not imagine starting on the seller side and not the buyer side, because you truly understand more when I would not feel comfortable helping sellers until I have, if I had to, I would figure it out, but I feel so much more comfortable helping sellers now going through, multiple transactions on the buyer side. There's no way I could have felt comfortable going into helping sellers. There's so much that goes into it.
There is. So the next thing we always hear is your schedule must be so flexible. And to be fair, we have some flexibility in our schedule. We're not going in 9 to 5. We're not clocking in, clocking out. I've seen those reels online where they're like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Oh, and then they just walk away from their client, like in the middle of a showing. They're like, oh, wait, it's 5 o'clock. I'm out.
I have to go home. Time to clock out.
And they clock out. So I think it's, that's not our job. We aren't a 9 to 5, but we do have more flexibility. So we can plan real estate around our lives, which is nice. I think that flexibility is the best part of the career, in my opinion. But speaking of busy season, right now we're doing nights. I tend to try really hard not to work weekends, because that's the only time with me and my husband and my sons, like all together. So, I still do. And I have. And sometimes I'm like, honey, I'm showing. Yeah, I'm doing that. And he's like, it's fine, but it took us a while to get to that point, because it's
a change.
It is. And when you first start real estate, you have to really take everything and anything to build your clientele. That's just the name of the game. You have to build it. You're not just going to get hand fed and your clients aren't just going to start coming out of the woodworks for you.
You can't be picky.
You can't be picky. Exactly. No. So, but you are building a business to where you then can be picky, like, for example, now I can get to the point where if somebody's like, oh, I could see it maybe Sunday or possibly Monday, I'm like, let's go for Monday, and tonight it's at 6 o'clock, and that is smack in the middle of dinner. I haven't done that and I don't know how long, but I got to do it. That's when the client, they work. So this is the time. So reality, there's nights, weekends, missing family time, always on call. We are always on call.
We're flexible, but that doesn't mean we don't work 8 hours in a single day.
Right.
We might work, 3 hours from 6 to 9, and then we might have an hour break, and then we work another 3 hours, and we're making phone calls on the way to showings. And so we're double booking ourselves in that case. And then you also have, the weekends and stuff in which we do work quite a bit. I also try not to work on the weekends, but I'm not going to say no if somebody wants to. We were down at the lake and I got a lead and they wanted to look at a house at the lake, and it was 15 minutes from where we were at. So I'm like, yeah, let me just run over there. It was actually perfect how it all worked out. So, you just have to, you have to be flexible.
You do.
But that doesn't mean you're not working as hard as somebody with a 9 to 5.
And you do have to set boundaries in our business. There's nobody setting them for us. There's not necessarily a boss, if you will, that's saying, so you do have to set some boundaries. And I know some real estate agents that do say, I'm only working from 9 to 5. And then I will not, if it's not an emergency, I will not get back to you until the next morning. They don't have those extended hours. Now, if it's a contract and time is of the essence is huge in real estate. So if it's that's different. But this is just like a simple question of, hey, does this house have a shop? Well, I'll get back to you tomorrow about that. It's not an emergency question. But I'm guilty. I will send it to you at 9 o'clock at night if that's when you ask me.
I was about to say, I don't think that's anything that any of us on our team do. I feel like we're all really quick to answer and
but setting boundaries is good if you can do that. If you want.
I'm not good at that.
And a lot of times, and I had this recently with a client, they're like, yeah, but the more money I sell my house for, the more money you make. And I never think of it that way ever. No. I never am considering what I'm making. And if, you sell your house for more, that means I get, no, I'm not trying to have your house sit on the market for months. I want to get your house sold. And if it's at the lower price point that I see when I do my comps, that's what I see. So I do hear a lot like, oh, it must be easy money. Can there be money made in this business? 100%. But do you have to put the work in like any job and really, really work it to make the money? Yes.
Yeah.
You have to. It's not easy. It's not, like I said, most agents, they don't have the money to renew. And then after their year or two, I think year 3, they're out because they just they can't make it work because it's a lot of time.
So
And
much
you
work.
can say that more being early on in your career, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I think people think it's easy and it's not.
I think I had a good insight to it because before I got my license, I was working for you. And so when I was in the office with you, which wasn't often, but every once in a while when I was in the office with you, you were working. We're planning this, we're doing this, we're planning this. This is what my schedule looks like. It wasn't just, oh, we'll see what happens and go with the flow. Like things have to be planned. You are putting in a lot of work. It's not money that just flows directly to you. You have to put in the work, whether that's, treating your past clients with a lot of care and nurturing them and showing them that you still care about them, even though their transaction's over with, or it's, finding ways to gain new clients and, showing your true colors and, showing people what you're about and presenting yourself online. There's just so much that goes into it. And a lot of it is mental load. There's a lot of running around, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of mental load that goes into it. So it's definitely not just money that's handed to you. And you're dealing with the biggest transaction of people's lives typically. So
It's a lot of money.
So much money for anybody, even whether they're buying $140,000 house or they're buying $1 million house, it's a lot of money to that person. And you have to treat them, like it is a lot of money because it is. So even though, we do make money at the end of the day, that's, it is our job. We do make money. It's not easy money. Yeah. It does not come easy.
And I think the average real estate agent closes 1 or 2 deals a year. So if you think about that, when people say, oh my gosh, you're making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 off of this transaction, it's like, yeah, but that's it. And I mean
that barely covers your dues.
One out of 6 months. Are you kidding? So the agents that are high producing, you've got the money coming in, but we're also putting it back into our business. And I've noticed that looking over the years of doing this, like the more money I'm making, the more money I'm putting right back into my business. So would I love to buy a new house and a fancy new shiny car? Of course. And maybe I can in a year or two, but I'm going to be smart about it. But then I'm also putting back into my business. Like what else can I give and do for my people? So there's a lot,
I don't think people realize how much money, especially I have seen you put back into your business. Like, yes, you were, like you said, you've got a lot of closings and you're doing a lot of deals and you're helping a lot of people right now, but you put so much time and effort and money, not just money, but time and effort and energy and thinking and brain space back into your business. And that's how you keep continuing to run a business. I mean, no businesses runs off of zero profit or putting money back into it.
And part of my coaching program, they have us do like our hourly rate. Ooh. And so you break down, you literally track everything you do in a day. And then you break it down to like, okay, I've worked 6 hours today. How much money did I make today? Or if I made $3,000 this month, but I'm working 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, how much really is that per hour? And it's like ridiculous to see really how much you do. Now, in the beginning, it's different. I probably way overworked myself and was making like below minimum wage easily. And then, now it's just, I'm able, because that's where I am at in my business, is that you're able to like, okay, let's stop it here. And then, I don't need to take every single thing. That's why I have you guys. I mean, I just filter it over to.
I'll take it.
To you guys. You guys are building your business and I'm here for it. And then another one we always hear is Zillow tells you everything you need to know. Or like what Zillow says, and I just did a video on this. Zillow is great. I mean, it is a great resource. It wouldn't be great if no one used it, but it's great to look at, to maybe look at as just like a guide. But Zillow has never been inside your house. They don't know anything local. They don't know neighborhoods. They don't know where we live. They don't know what the street looks like, what your house looks like, what updates are inside. They're just guessing, and they're just looking and averaging with the houses around it. So Zillow is a great place to start, but it doesn't know local knowledge. It doesn't negotiate for you. It's not the end all be all, it's a resource.
That kind of reminds me of, I've seen a few reels where it's people saying something along the lines of AI is going to take over real estate or realtors' jobs. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Can AI do this? And it's opening up doors, sitting at a coffee shop, having real conversations with people and doing things that are just human connection. It's like, AI is not going to take my job anytime soon. AI helps with parts of our jobs, and there's a lot that AI does, but it's not going to take my job from me anytime soon. So that's just like Zillow. Any online tool is great. AI, great, but there's stuff that you can't replicate.
No. Not at all. The human connection.
It's the biggest thing in the business.
I know. And that open houses sell homes. And I would stick it to everybody. I have never sold a home from an open house, but I can't say that anymore because this year we had one open house for this client. We had one showing, one person come through, a young couple. They already had a realtor. They already had a lender, and they wrote an offer on it that night.
Wow.
So it sold.
That's unheard of.
That is unheard of. Now, and I just had a conversation with the seller yesterday, and she made a good point. She's like, look, if people want to see the house, they're going to schedule to go see the house. I mean, it's not like they're just going to sit around and wait. I mean, if they see a house, they're going to see it. So will open houses sell a house? Could they? Yeah, they could be waiting for it. Like if they know it's happening on Sunday, they could come through. But could it sell houses? Yeah, it did. It does. But in reality, it doesn't really sell your house. I mean, it's either looky neighbors, looky-loos, buyers just perusing. They're just out for a drive. They're just kind of, maybe they're interested in buying. But they're not probably interested in your house. They're just kind of looking around to see what's out there.
Yeah.
Which, is good. And it's good for real estate agents because you can pick up buyers that way if they don't have an agent. So,
yeah. And you get to make connections with people.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like having a billboard. The person who sees it the first time probably isn't going to, work with you. But if they've seen it 15 times, they're going to think, oh, I've seen that name before.
And I had a really nice house in Nixa. I did so many open houses for it. And it's a big, beautiful house. And people would just come in. They just say, oh, I've always driven by this house and it looks so unique. We just wanted to see the inside. Or, oh, I'm building my house. I just kind of wanted to see how the inside looked from photos. They were just being nosy.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to. I like going to open houses just to see what the inside of the house looks like.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. So a little bit behind the scenes, we kind of want to dive in a little bit to show you guys like what people don't see. And I mean, I had to learn this through deals and mistakes and things going through that like we are putting out a lot of fires behind the scenes. We are up late. We are up early. We are communicating with the other side of the transaction. We are dealing with so much that our clients don't see. And in the beginning, and I'm just going to be straight up honest. In the beginning in real estate, I thought, well, I got to be so communicative and tell my clients everything and they need to be informed. And then it just hit me like, no, I don't. I am stressing them out for no reason because that could have all been handled. Well, it was handled, but I didn't need to let them know that. I can let them know the solution and not the problem, unless it's going to become a real big problem that I know is not going to be.
You could tell them what the problem is once there's a solution found.
Yeah.
Hey, this thing happened, but I just want you to know that here's what's going to happen now, or here's the fix to it.
I mean, so we're always communicating with the other side and like trying to figure things out to get things closed that our clients never really see sometimes.
And the anxiety behind that,
Yeah.
just thinking, how do I word this to my clients to where they're not going to get freaked out or they
Right.
don't, it's not that big of a deal. I know it's not that big of a deal, but they're going to think it's a big deal.
Right.
How do I tell them without, there's a lot of that kind of back and forth too. And just dealing, like you said, with so many sides, whether it's the lender, the listing agent, and your buyers, and inspector, specialist inspectors, anything like that.
Yeah.
There's just so many sides to it.
Yeah.
You got to figure out where everybody's at.
Yeah. And so like recently I'm dealing with one that's, oh my gosh, like the lender won't speak with the listing agent. She's like, nope, you can't have his phone number. He doesn't like talking to listing agents. He won't. And I'm like, okay, so everything has to go through the buyer's agent. So now I'm doing having to reach out to her. Then she's having to reach out to the lender. And finally, this is the one that we've delayed closing. So finally she's like, okay, here's his number. He's expecting your call. And I'm like, thank you. And it was fine. Like, I'm like, why could I have not had this conversation with you?
You are the listing agent. Oh yeah, you're the listing agent. And so they won't get you in contact with the buyer's lender. That's really interesting.
The pre-approval did not it just had his name. You research him. His number is not out there. His email, not out there.
That gives me sketchy vibes.
And I'm like, it's just the office number. And I'm like, no, I need to. So anyway, it's just been a thing. But I've been dealing with all of that behind the scenes before I can even really take anything to my client, and that's just the hard part. We're trying to find solutions before. And then I know the client's probably patiently waiting. I think everything's great. And we're just over here putting out fires behind the scenes. Yeah. So, we write offers late at night. We are dealing with, all kinds of things. Emotional support for our clients, that's a big one because I think we talked about this on a previous episode that it's so emotional. Buying a house, selling a house is emotional and it's a big deal. And so when clients are upset, I just recently had some clients, they were not in agreement and they were arguing, and that was very, it's uncomfortable when your clients are arguing in front of you. And then they don't speak to each other and it's very awkward and you're trying to, you're just like, okay. And it's emotional.
Yeah.
So we're also trying to play the middle person, or we're dealing with, I have divorce clients that are going through divorces. So I have to speak with one, then I have to speak with the other. They don't want to speak to each other.
No group chats.
No group chats in that one. So it's a lot of juggling and, like you said, mental. I mean, there's a lot going on and we have to keep ourselves and not get emotional.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. And I mean, I sometimes do take it personal because these are my people that I'm working with. And so when you're going to do them wrong, then yes, I take offense.
Especially when it's been going on for a long time and you've been working with them for a while and built a good relationship. I had buyers that we had looked at several houses. These were my out-of-state buyers. First time I've ever done anything out of state. So we did a lot of virtual tours. We'd been working together for months, and they finally found a house that they loved. We put in an offer got accepted. We're under contract, had an inspection done. The house needed, I think it was like almost $40,000 worth of work, like $37,000 worth of work. And we're talking about a $250,000 house. And my buyers were distraught. They loved this house. They walked in. You couldn't see it. The naked eye couldn't see the problems. It was all, under the house and things like the furnace. We could see the furnace was old, but we didn't realize how bad of shape it was and all this kind of stuff. And my buyers just fell in love with this house, and we worked and worked and worked on that inspection, and we worked with the listing agent. Everybody was and luckily everybody was in great spirits. That went great, but the listing agent was fantastic to work with. No problems with that. It was just my buyers loved this house, and the problems were so big that there just wasn't a way for it to get fixed within my buyer's timeline and the budget of the sellers and all that kind of stuff. So we ended up having to mutual release on that house. And then after that, my buyers were like, now we're starting all over again. And you're dealing with their anxiety and their worries. Are we going to find another house that we loved just as much? And then every house after that, they're going to compare to that house and what they thought that house was going to be. And we ended up looking at, I think, like 5 or 6 more houses before we ended up putting in an offer on one of them, and the offer didn't get accepted. And that was another blow. And then the next house we put an offer on, they got accepted. And now we have closed, and they've moved into their new home, and they love their house so much. But the stress that they have and the anxieties about not being able to find a house that they're actually going to love. And then, hearing that the house that they loved wasn't what they thought it was, that's so stressful. And, being the guide and the support to say, it's okay. Things like this happen, there's a reason why you have an inspection and you pay for it. And, just reassuring them that what they're doing is right, because it is such a big financial decision and so many emotions go into it, just telling them it's okay. You're doing the right thing, but things like this happen.
Yeah. And I always say, that took me back to the COVID times when the market was wild. And I told the clients, like, it's probably not going to be until the 5th house. So you offer on, are you going to get it? Like, you have to prep, I had to prep them.
Yeah.
You're going to fall in love with 5 before you find the one, and I'll always, they will come back and say, oh my gosh, this is so much better for me. This layout was better. This is just, and I always believe, and I've just believed this in my personal life too, that everything happens for a reason. It's supposed to be the way that it's supposed to be. And if that house wasn't, and you sell it, and then something good is going to come out of that.
I always say that.
Like everything happens for a reason. And, or I'm so thankful they didn't get that first house, because then they move in and then now they're in financial debt because all this stuff happened after the fact, and now they're in it for just, you just don't want that for your clients. You don't want them to be in it upside down. So, just deals falling apart days before closing. We have to deal with all that emotions with everybody, managing multiple personalities, because you've got an agent on the other side who
you don't know how they're going to be.
You have no idea how they're going to be. You're hoping and praying that they're going to be understanding, and because you do the same work, you do the same job. Yes, we're representing different clients, but our goal is to come to closing and for everyone to be happy at closing. So I think it's so good when both realtors can work together and to try to get it to closing, so our clients are happy, and they are. But when you have another agent on the other side who is difficult, that is just added stress to you, and it's difficult to get things done, and
or has bad communication.
Yeah.
Like takes hours and hours and hours and even like a day to respond. That
Or
It's
they're nice
frustrating.
one second and then they blow up on you on the next. And I mean, clients, of course, we're not going to ever tell our clients
No,
anything
yeah.
about the other side, like, oh, this agent is awful,
Yeah.
but that's why it's so good. And I've done deals with multiple people and it just happened that way. It's not like I'm searching for their listings or whatever,
yeah.
but like, it's so nice to see when you're going to see a house and you're like, oh, I know that agent. They're great.
A
to
breath
work
of fresh
with.
air.
Yes. So there is, there's a lot that goes into real estate that I don't think people realize. They're like, oh, you just open doors and get paid. Oh, I wish,
Yeah.
because
I wish somebody else would do all the
be a realtor.
contracts. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
There'd be too many of us then.
all right. So now we're going to just do a little fun. We're going to finish up the episode here, but we're going to do a little fun rapid fire, realtor or mom. So fun game. All right. Who needs more snacks, clients or kids?
I think kids need more snacks, but the clients need more breaks and
That's true.
emotional support.
For sure.
Kids just figure it out.
Yeah. So who's more emotional?
Oh, I would say buyers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buyers or toddlers?
toddlers are emotional about very trivial, small little things. Buyers are emotional about big
Yeah.
things. So the weight of it is different.
Yeah, that's true. Who listens less? Husbands, kids, or clients?
Oh, probably the husband. I think he understands less about this business. Like you had mentioned, it's when you start real estate, it's really hard for your significant other to understand what the schedule is going to look like. And even no matter how many times I tell him, it's hard for him to listen. But
Right now it would be my child. So
well, fair enough.
yeah, I left an appointment yesterday and the client goes, I mean, I trust you. So what, and that's so, oh my gosh, that is the best. It's hard when you get clients that don't trust you. And I get it because they don't know you. I get it. But over time, they'll trust you, but it's hard. But when you go somewhere and they're like, no, I totally trust you. Like, this is your career. This is your job. You know what you're doing.
You do
and
this
I'm
every
just
day.
like, thank you, Jesus. Cause that is easy to get around. I don't have to, prove myself or have to convince somebody that this is, the best way. So yeah, I would say right now, my child, he does not listen. So yeah, no.
I mean, mine doesn't either, but
gets
that's
harder.
pretty typical.
Yeah, I had someone reach out. My client, she's got a 2-year-old, and she's like, he just doesn't listen. Does it get any better? I'm like, no, it's actually worse. He's 6, almost 6, and no, not at all.
That makes me feel great because I have an almost 3-year-old, so
Yeah.
that makes me feel awesome.
It does not get better, just so you know. Which is harder, negotiating repairs or bedtime?
Oh, that depends on the day in the house.
That's true.
I mean, bedtime is pretty strict in our house. He goes to bed at roughly the same time. He knows when he's going to bed. So getting him in the bed is not the hard part. It's getting him to fall asleep and not sit there and just chat to us for the next hour.
Doesn't it feel like they all want to just chat at bedtime?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to tell
You
you
were just
everything.
playing with it by yourself for the last hour, having fun, doing whatever, running around the house, and now we're sitting here and you only want to be next to me.
And now he's like telling me sad things about his day. And I'm like, oh, now
goodness.
we're going to get into emotional support right now at bedtime.
Therapy hour.
All the things. And I'm like, honey.
I don't know. Negotiating repairs, like I said with my first time homebuyers, that was rough.
Yeah,
That was
it
rough.
can be
The
rough.
listing agent was fantastic, great to work with. The other side he was great to work with, but my clients wanted what they wanted. They were first time home buyers buying, their very first house, and they didn't want to move into a house that needed so much repair. So that's rough too. But
I think overall for me, it would be negotiating repairs because you have to talk to the buyer because then they want to know your opinion. They have their opinion. You have to really talk about what we really, if they really want these certain things done and the other things is just like maybes, like let's just really let's hone in on the ones that you really want done so that they're more apt to agree to that. So figuring out that and then going back to the agent, explaining it to the agent, then they, and just kind of working through those. Sometimes bedtime's great. Sometimes it's rough. Like we have the same schedule. It's pretty good. It's just getting him to not wake up throughout the night and call me in there to snuggle. Although I do love it.
my child has to pee about 15 times in the middle of the night, so I hear my name, Mommy, I gotta pee. So I have to run. Our bedroom is on the opposite side of the house that his room is, so I have to run all the way across the house, get him up, take him into the bathroom, take him back into his room, lay him back down. He falls right to sleep every time. Thank goodness he doesn't stay awake, but it's still, this is why we need to cut off water at a certain time.
Yeah. Okay, Avery. Well, this was a fun episode.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was, there's a lot that goes into real estate that I think people just don't realize, and that's okay. If you're a realtor or thinking about getting into real estate, just think about how deals are done. Listen to this podcast. Really think about it. It's
Get a good
great
mentor.
business.
Get a good somebody that you can really teach you. Have
And that
classes,
can
whether it's a
continue
brokerage.
to answer questions throughout. That's a big thing. Not just, sending you on your way and having you figure it out after you've gone to a few classes or, mentored you on something. You need somebody who's going to stick with you throughout the transactions. And that's why I love being a part of our team, because if I have a question, I ask you. If you don't know, you give me the resources to find out, or you say, give me a second, I have no idea, and that's having a mentor is really important, because there's so many things that happen that we truly do learn new things every day. So
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. So if you're buying or selling or just thinking about it, just know there's a lot happening behind the scenes to protect you. And that is our job. So that's what we're here for. So if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with someone who needs to hear it, and make sure to follow along, tag us, follow all the good things. And thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye, guys.